Hey, boys and girls, weather report for February 21st, 2022. Oh my, we have so much happened this weekend. Okay, so we are not going to do knock bashing, but what the fuck happened exactly? What made he was mad at you,
okay.
right?
You know, there's somebody here that should be able to just tell us exactly the meaning and purpose of everything that happened because it was on his stream. Hey there, Gromania. You want to share with us what happened?
Yeah, how did you kill Knox channel?
Yeah.
What is this, an ambush? Nobody mentioned this backstage. Okay, no. So somebody had asked about Smokey, like who is Smokey? And then
I don't know who he is, but
Rage went on this tirade and then started accusing Smokey of stuff, which may or may not be correct. I don't know. It's irrelevant to
now, how far into your stream was this?
This was probably at least 2 hours into it because the first 2 hours, I believe, were pretty good.
Yeah, weren't there some pretty cool participants during that time? The first hour or two.
Yes,
there's some really great guys.
Yes,
and ladies, of course.
There was the first probably 30 minutes was just me giving commentary on some videos about people who claimed they went to hell.
Oh yeah, those were interesting. And
then I opened up the stream, and Pixie was there, Knock was there, and Pat Lowinger. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Pixie's a common guest on my channel. And
I thought that was LPP in disguise for a second.
That would be funy.
The farting Pixie.
And we'll definitely get to.
He used to have that avatar, remember? Didn't he?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Well, she had asked about the situation, and then this other guy, Fishhead Salad, he also asked who that guy was, and then Rage started saying, "Listen," he took any type of, well, we don't know for sure, in regards to his, accusations, allegations on that are thrown at Smokey.
His criminal record, yep.
Yeah, and so he just wanted us all to agree that was him and all that stuff. And I told him, I was like, dude, I don't want to defend Smokey at all, but I mean, let's just move on. And so finally Rage said, all right, I'm going to pull up the pictures. All, the mug shots of, what's up, Donnie?
Yeah. Wow, that was fast.
Rage was wanting to pull up all the pictures of
the used car
Smokey and mug shots and all this stuff. And I said, listen, I don't want to do that on my channel because if it is doxing, I don't want to be a part of it. Now, Jay Pasick did make a good point because he made a response to quite a few responses on that stream. And he said, well, Gur, you have to realize they've already gone over that on Smokey's channel, Will Kincaid's channel, and Rage's channel. So it really wouldn't matter if it was on your channel. And I thought, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but
then it was too late.
So. I wouldn't allow it here. So because we don't know what the fucking story was, So.
Yeah, and it's just, and instead of him just saying, okay, and moving on, it did not go that way. But yeah, hopefully Rage is doing good. I mean, he did threaten to beat me up, and I thought that was quite hilarious in all honesty. But, I do wish nothing but the best for the dude. And hopefully he gets, some mental health therapy.
Well, fuck it. I think he should come back, and like, I think he took a lot of videos down. I got a call from John Peterson. Actually, John is doing okay. He's just staying away from all this bullshit.
I don't blame
Yeah,
you.
good.
He's the only sane person I've talked to in the last 6 months. So,
Oh, yeah, as somebody said in the side chat that Rage was saying Smokey was 100%.
Cerberus always has
politely.
He always has all the dirt. Cerberus. He gets into all the dirt for sure. He knows all the shit.
And I don't know, but anyway, it was quite a storm over the weekend. And then I watched Jay. And Jay is always fun to watch. Great comments.
Oh yeah, he is.
Cool.
And, here we go with little Donnie's making his comments. He really needs to go back to the used car sales because he really sucks at this young Earth creationist shit. So
Stanley, come in here and tell us about chromosome 2 fusion.
Yeah,
because I understand you think it's been debunked. It's
he did say speed of sound is my boy. We're gonna get you converted one of these days.
Yeah,
Can
right.
Can I say one thing about Donnie? I just want to say
yes, absolutely.
I just want to Donnie's always been really nice to me. So I don't want to I know you guys
nice to me.
Yeah, so I just want to say that he has always been really nice. So that's it.
Actually,
and Jason, that's the only good thing you can say about Standing for Truth's channel. Is that he's really a nice guy.
Well, hey,
but he puts a lot of jabs out there. He puts plenty of jabs.
There is a bias
and stuff like that. So
we do have a bias here.
So he needs a few jabs back. That's all. That's why I was saying that.
He needs another jab.
Yeah,
fair enough. Something that's FDA approved. But anyway, I was at LPP stream after that dumpster fire on my channel, and I was not going to make any comments about anything outside of whatever they were talking about. And as soon as I came in, Standing for Truth said, "Oh, hey, girl, why are you hanging out with a heretic? A fake Christian like LPP who's going to hell," making references to Smokey saying that LPP is going to hell. And I just laughed and I thought that was kind of funny. But then LPP was like, "Okay, you see, Donnie, you fell right into Gur's trap. He's just trying to divide us." And I was like, I didn't even bring that up, boy. But anyway. Yeah.
So Standing and LPP are fighting too?
No. They're Smokey and LPP.
Smokey and LPP. Yeah.
Standing for Truth and LPP are cool.
Well, Smokey's fighting with everybody, big time with Donnie, right?
Well, Cell and Standing are fighting, so I mean, it's like Jesus. It's hard to keep up with who's fighting.
Yeah. They basically are eating each other alive. Is what they're doing, all of them. Yeah.
I wish somebody in that community would produce a program or something to follow.
I know, a website.
The problem is they can't figure out their Bible. Is the problem?
Yeah.
None of them. They can't read it correctly, and they're all screwed up, and they're all arguing about it. I find that funny, quite funny.
The actual weather report.
Yeah. We could have a weather report on who's fighting with who.
Maybe us atheists should teach them how to read the Bible and figure it out.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is, because they're all fighting over their doctrine, right? That's what they're all fighting over. Once saved, always saved, and free grace, and they're just eting each other alive over all that garbage. It's so funny.
I knew
Buddhist now.
I knew I would convert Standing eventually if he just I kept putting out content, but
making some jobs. Standing, I see.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of videos on Standing for Truth's channel, and I got I gotta admit, Standing is a fine, healthy looking young fella, and that's about the only positive thing I can say about his whole fucking content.
He puts out a lot of content. He puts out a lot of content. So
he puts out a lot of content. Yeah, a lot of garbage.
What would you call that content, though, Jason?
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder. I mean, obviously, a lot of those folks have a perspective on young Earth creationism and evolution and intelligent design. which I don't agree with, but he puts
I
a lot
will
of that
say it
content
is
out there.
high quality, but unfortunately, I would say it's also misleading.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then again,
that's
that's
a
probably
good way
the
to put
opinion
it.
of most people here.
Yeah. That's a
What
gentle
really-
way of putting it. Yep.
What really gets me is how freaked out they are about ERVs, endogenous retroviruses, and viruses in the genome. These guys have put out so much content about this, about how God done it that way. God put those viruses in there. He placed them very carefully in there, just so. All, fucking 3 million of them.
It's like I don't think even the original argument for common ancestry based on ERVs was even, well, maybe a little bit, but like it wasn't especially tied to whether it was really functional or not.
Yeah.
It was more like is it like a unique like bullet hole in the genome, basically?
Yeah, they're just, but it's amazing how much content they do about this shit where they go on and on about, like this guy here, Danandrum Ibrahim site or some fucking thing. I don't know what this is exactly, but let me see if I can pull it up here. Oh, why do I do this to myself? Okay.
There are a million things wrong with this statement already.
Has Dr. Dan been on Standing for Truth's channel?
I think so, yeah.
I'm
not
just
so much
curious.
late. Well,
in the past, I don't know about lately.
They dumped on him so bad, him and Erica, that him and Erica won't have anything to do with standing.
I mean, I really like Dr. Dan. I mean, I find him
great.
to be very compelling, and I think that he has a very easygoing demeanor, and he focuses on the science, and he's not into attacking people.
Yeah.
So I like his approach.
Luca has a wrench. Everybody else does, so Luca needs one too. So anyway.
Does Standing for Truth have a wrench?
Oh, by the way, Wildheart, has Wildheart been around?
Yeah, he was around. I think I want to say this past weekend.
He goes over to Bro Joe's channel a lot. Yeah.
Okay, I was just worried about him. I thought he kind of disappeared from Gur streams for a while.
Did anybody get a chance?
That's
I didn't
okay.
get a chance to watch Luca's debate. Did anybody get a chance to watch that? He just had it with what's his name?
My God.
Dipshit.
Yeah.
How was it? Like, was Tony an absolute moron, just like he always is?
Yeah.
Or, like, he must have been. I can imagine some of the crap.
That's what the pick today
really
is.
I really
I
wanted
thought
to
the
watch
same
that.
thing. I don't know who it was.
Was there any juicy things in this, Speed? Because I really wanted to watch it, and I haven't had a chance.
So Tony just basically said the same shit he always says, and I was trying to find something new, and I couldn't find a thing. And Luca did a pretty good job. And Tony just said, "Oh, they didn't have pharmaceutical companies and chromatography back in 4.5 billion years ago, and they didn't have pure reagents, and they didn't have you couldn't order homochiral amino acids, the usual shit." I couldn't find a thing.
The usual stuff.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, the guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I mean, all this is besides the point of like whether evolution is true or not. Either way.
Yeah. I mean, I brought this up before, I think, on Gur stream about this discussion that Behe had with Dr. Dan. It was on like Canadian Catholics channel, which I don't like that guy, but
no, me neither.
Yeah. But I mentioned this, that Dr. Dan, I think, had an extremely compelling position that I take as well, which is from an intelligent design perspective, and you could apply it to an evolutionary theory perspective, that why haven't we seen the plethora of peer-reviewed articles that sway the science away from evolutionary theory, away from intelligent design? Like Dr. Dan had said, it's been 30 some years since the topic had been proposed, but we don't see this sudden movement of like the peer review shifting the view to intelligent design. Why is that the case?
Well, it's interesting how you bring that up, because I've actually brought this up to other creationists, and the only good quote unquote response that I've gotten to it is basically creationists are essentially afraid that if they publish, that they're not entirely sure if which journal would actually publish it. Like it's basically conspiratorial thinking, but it's put in such a way like the journals are inherently biased against creation science. So if they were to publish it, it would just get rejected because it even mentions creation in the something along those lines.
Because it's all garbage, really, right? So they don't, of course, they don't want to.
It's basically excuses, is what it is.
Right.
So, the Council for Foreign Relations won't let them publish creationist material, or is it the Illuminati? Who's the Skull and Bones? What are they related to? I don't know. All them people won't let them do creationism.
Whenever I open up a sex shop, I'm going to call it the Illuminati.
I mean, we get that with climate science too. I mean, there's this cabal of scientists that are making bunches of money, that are, publishing this stuff that's not reproducible. And they always like cherry pick, like there's like one study or not one study, but there was one situation where somebody falsified their data and somebody's like, aha, see, it's all being falsified.
Right.
Well, there are two things I just want to bring up before. Like, the peer review process, as I understand, is put in such a way that even like evolutionary biologists in certain journals have a hard time at it. I mean, like some journals, they don't publish or reject like 99% of what they get. So like creationists aren't like inherently being biased against. It's pretty much. And even creation scientists, when they actually publish good science, they will get published.
If you guys have, I'm not saying that you don't understand this. I'm sure you do. But for those who are watching, how difficult it is nowadays from a quantitative perspective to get your paper published. You have to provide your data, your code that is reproducible, and it gets scrutinized extremely. There's a high level of scrutiny because journals, high impact journals, do not want to publish something that it is then at a later point, somebody busts it and says, this is complete bullshit. You didn't, the data is wrong. They don't want that to happen. So there is a high level of scrutiny, particularly again, with Nature, Science, Cell, these big journals, it's very difficult in that respect.
Right. It probably has to be said that it isn't an inherently perfect process though, but I think it's definitely the best one we have.
Correct. The thing is, a lot of those guys are getting published. They just don't talk about the Bible or creationism.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like, okay, Deweese gets published all the time, and he's always making a case for the irreducible complexity of topoisomerase. And I've read his papers, and he's making the case in there. And there's some other guys in the information field like Abel and D'Onofrio, and they get published. And because they've got mathematics, they've got thoughtful pieces, they just don't talk about the Bible. If you lead with the fucking Bible, of course you're not going to make it past peer review. It would be like if I led with fucking Stephen King,
Look, if I could, you can lead with that information as long as you have sound, scientifically validated evidence that would support it. So if somebody's like, I have a theory that that the global flood did exist, and this was mentioned in the Bible, but I have supporting evidence that would support that, and it's extremely detailed in that respect. I don't think that they would get refuted just because that information was in there, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe.
Maybe sometimes. It's at this point, at least probably some scientists know about the movement, but I haven't seen too much in the way of creationists actually going out there and publishing in reputable journals in the first place, or at least on creationism science.
How many of these folks, when they come, there's somebody that's a staunch creationist, let's say what ICR, the Institute for Creation Research, how many of those folks have the worst PhDs and high level degrees from qualified institutions? Oftentimes they're Like, look at Stephen Meyer. Stephen Meyer's degree, he has a PhD in the philosophy of science. Now, it's from Cambridge, but it's not in a biological science. His master's, I believe, is in geology. So he doesn't actually have a biological degree. He doesn't have a degree in biology, evolutionary biology, molecular biology, has any background in that whatsoever.
Now, lest someone try and misconstrue what Jason is saying, I think what you're saying is not he doesn't have a biology degree, therefore he's wrong.
That's right.
He doesn't have a biology degree, therefore that kind of should raise some eyebrows, basically.
Correct. Like, obviously you could have no degree whatsoever and have extremely novel scientific hypotheses and can prove that and publish it. I think that is totally fine. But if you looked at the law of large numbers, you looked at all the people publishing. I mean, we know for a fact that those are publishing likely have terminal degrees at high level institutions, and they had formal training under extremely competent people. There's a high correlation there. It's not causal, but there's just a high correlation with that.
I think that there's this misconception basically that science is an individual process where in reality it's more of a social human endeavor. So there's going to be some errors and biases in there, but if you incorporate enough people, for lack of a better word, basically you're going to filter out just due to, well, the law of large numbers, like you said, like you're going to on average filter out and get some good quality science in there. At least that's what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've talked enough.
So this guy here, Perry Marshall, he's got a degree in electrical engineering. He wrote a book called Evolution 2.0. He put together this $10 million prize for anybody who comes up with a self-creating code. And I looked at his website and I couldn't quite get a grasp of what the rules were for this. And they've had one submission so far from a PhD student, and he says it wasn't good enough. But Maddox is going to be interviewing him in 2 days.
Yeah, this is a thing Maddox talks about all the time, right? Yeah.
Well, I listened to a 2-hour video by this guy and listened to his case very carefully. And I think his case is that evolution is absolutely true, except that God created the cell, and it all started from the first cell. So that's where he draws a line in the sand, right?
Right. All the information is in that cell, right?
Yeah, and he says as much. And I'm wondering how Maddox and him are going to basically dart around each other so that they don't argue, so that it looks like they totally agree. But he's really into this fucking information thing. And like he's talking about how important information theory is in biology. And the truth of the matter is that as many papers as we've had on it and as many books as we've had on it, information theory and communication theory hasn't done fuck all in biology so far. They haven't really put together anything really valid. But they keep trying, they keep trying to come up like this guy, his big thing is using communication theory in biology and shit like that. But it's all very interesting. It's very interesting to listen to. There's this whole like movement in evolution with Dennis Noble about teleology or teleonomy in the cell, where there is like the cells are basically evolving themselves at this point. And they make a case, but I'm still not convinced, with their teleological case that cells are self-evolving or that they're heading for some result, basically, is what they're kind of saying. Anyway, it's all very interesting.
Well, I will say that at least his position as you describe it, at least that's a better one than
it's a better
creationism.
One. Yeah.
I thought the same thing. At least it's not young Earth creationism.
Yeah, young Earth creationism.
Yep. Yeah, he just doesn't like abiogenesis, and he thinks that part's impossible. And I can't figure out why they're offering the prize. Now, the prize works like this: if you do a submission and you've met the rules, that will give you $100,000 immediately, and then they will apply for a patent. And if they get a patent on your method, they'll give you $3 million.
Yeah, that was the thing I remember reading about it. That's
Yeah.
what's really sketchy is that they claim rights to the whatever you submit. So if somebody were to come up with some genius approach that actually fulfilled it, they are going to be like, we own it, like it's ours. That seems that
make a lot of money.
Yeah, and then they have the other caveat that if they make enough money on it, they will give you 10 million altogether. But that's a cap, right?
Well, that's a caveat I haven't heard. I seem to remember that. There's an English program, where they get a believer and a non-believer, or maybe two different people from different denominations together. And I know they had one of the famous abiogenesis people and this guy on there for at least, I think they had 2 episodes with them. And I don't remember that part about having to win a patent in order to get your 10 million.
Was this the middle way channel or whatever it's called?
This is.
It's got a British host.
Adel Sassoumi or something.
I'm thinking something else.
You talked about this a long time ago, didn't you, Speed? Didn't we bring this up a while back?
Okay, now I got a little backstory here. So I reached out to John. John Maddox has been playing this video that we're looking at on his channel for 2 years. And I keep asking him, will you please give me a link to this fucking video? And I finally I saw another video and I said, wait a minute, that's Perry Marshall. And so I figured that out. So then I typed in the right keywords and I found the fucking video. But I just sent an email to John and I said, John, could you please send me a link to that video? I've been wanting to watch the whole thing. And he said, I'm going to have the guy on in 2 days. Yeah, that was a clue right there, right? That it was Perry Marshall. And that's all he told me. He didn't give me a fucking link to the video. I had to go find it myself. God, he's a jerk.
Hey, with John, when I was having that discussion about vaccines and the coronavirus with him this weekend, he said all kind of crap. And I asked him for citations twice. Yeah, you want to play I asked at I think it was a 2 hour and 30-minute mark.
I've seen some
40-minute mark.
I've seen some inclinations that he's like anti-climate change, but is he like anti-vax? Or
he talked at least in regards to the Rona vaccine, nothing but anti-vaccine points. Anti-vaccine points. Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to this little part. But before I do, in my description, I have 2 articles that debunk the shit he's saying, basically about the 419 athletes.
Yeah.
So go read the description, y'all.
It's in the description.
So by the way, Germania, since you think that anybody who is just not like bending over and say, please give me another jab, how do you feel about the fact that 108 professional soccer players have dropped dead on the pitch so far since all this stuff happened? And I believe it's 419 professional athletes have had heart attacks in the past year. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I have these studies from the military, the United States military.
I'm sure you do. Okay, so I have 2 articles that talk about that. And the first one, the soccer thing, flat out nothing. There's absolutely no validity to that claim at all. That came out of Facebook, and it was in social media.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
And the 400 and some athletes that died of heart disease, it was based on a German article that had nothing to do with the vaccine. It was about athletes having heart attacks, which is something we've known about since 1980. That really high performance athletes are, sometimes drop dead and they die in their sleep and whatever. But anyway, the article is about that. So I have 2 debunk articles, and all of that shit that he's getting came out of Facebook. So, I mean, when you asked him for sources, what did he say? Did he give you sources?
Nothing, right?
Wait, I'm sorry. I had to step. Of course, I got a phone call right as this started. Okay. No, I asked. I said I've not heard about that, but I'll look it up. And then at some point, at 2 different points in this discussion, I asked for citations and never got anything. I said you could post it in the side chat.
Yeah, he just
private chat, or you could
Yeah.
email them to me.
Yeah, and his response is usually, "Oh, you can Google it." Well, I Googled it. And you know what? It's all bullshit. It's like these people are like.
He does not understand the burden of proof at all.
No.
And then there was another site that I found where they apparently had put out this claim on Facebook, and Facebook took it down, and they were complaining that Facebook was a bunch of Nazis because they took their claim down about
Lord.
419 heart attacks.
I get so sick of that talking point.
Yeah. So, yeah, he seems to be an anti-vaxxer. I'm guessing he ain't vaxxed. I don't know. Let's listen.
Oh, they're really eye-opening. Scary.
Scary.
Wait, so
I'll put them in chat.
What?
No, that was on this. That was on the stream.
Oh, that was on the stream.
I'll post it in the chat.
I can't tell the difference.
So you said how many people? 400? What?
There have been 419 professional athletes as of the most recent.
Who got the jab?
Yes, who have had heart attacks, and the 108 professional soccer players.
Okay, Danny Cancer, real quick.
In the past year.
Okay, Grudge just said that had gotten the vaccine, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
they don't like me using the term vaccine because I guess
But then LPP said yes, but from what Speed is saying, that's not true. That was a study involving use of what drugs, performance enhancing drugs and stuff, or what kind of study was it?
Okay. So this article, dozens of prominent athletes did not die of heart attacks after COVID. And they go on and they talk about, let's see, where the hell is it?
This is PolitiFact,
Probably
by the way.
steroid use, right? I mean,
is PolitiFact bad or good, Jason?
PolitiFact's good. I think PolitiFact, they're like Snopes, man. They try to get to the heart of like conspiracy ideas. Like, is something true or not?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think PolitiFact is good.
Yeah, so they said news article makes the case that dozens of prominent athletes had heart attacks and died following vaccination against COVID-19. Cites a German news story as proof, even though the story did not say any such thing.
Yeah,
and they go on and talk about it. I think they were talking about. Let's see, German story did not report that all the athletes had died. First of all, they didn't die. They had heart attacks or heart problems of some sort, and it wasn't about vaccination. Apparently, let's see. The headline.
Did they mention steroids at all? No, nothing.
I don't know exactly what it was about. Let's see.
Because that's obviously that's a big problem. These athletes use steroids, and that causes heart attacks.
I mean, not all the people died. There was no indication that they were associated with a vaccine, and not all of them, and like there's no connection with the vaccine in this and these people dying, and not all of them died. So
yeah,
correlation does not equal causation, John.
Now, just to clarify one point, did LPP actually say they died of a heart attack, or just that they had heart attacks?
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's clearly referring to this article. He's referring to this 108 people died of heart attacks associated with the COVID vaccine. That's what he is.
Yeah, this one is 419. The other one is, there's another article here. Selected adverse. Let's see here. Which one is that? This one is, the other one is this one. 108 FA soccer players is not proof of a common list. Fact check list. So they made this claim, and apparently it's not based on fact, nor are suggestions that the alleged deaths are linked to COVID-19. Thousands of social media users have engaged with posts across Facebook, Twitter, and BitChute that made the claim, and they couldn't find any validity to the claim. So that's about it.
Years ago, I worked with a kid, 22 years old, and typical. He was a young kid, bodybuilder, using steroids. Kid had a heart attack at 22 years old, and he damn near died.
Nobody ever said that that sports was risk-free. In fact, the more extreme the sport, some people are going to develop conditions or flat out die.
Well, yeah, there's a syndrome where basically really, really healthy people will increase the amount of exercise they get or start running or whatever, and their hearts just stop. And or they'll have a heart attack for one reason or another. But it's been going on since 1980, and I don't think we were getting the vax back then. But let's see, the 108 figure initially surfaced in a Hebrew language article on Real Time News, a website which describes itself as a media organization with a deep sense of mission and a desire to bring about fundamental change in public consciousness. So anyway,
they sound.
Yeah, well, the thing is that they get one little obscure article, and then it hits the Facebook rumor mill, and it gets tossed around, and it becomes reality for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's one thing you have to look at with articles. What are their potential motivations?
Yeah.
I mean, you could apply this. We've talked about this before. Vaccines, climate change, creationism, flat earth, like the advent of social media and the ability to like spread misinformation all over the place has become predominant in our society. And so it's become a serious problem. It allows for like misinformation that previously would just die on the vine. Now it picks up steam.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yep.
I think LPP is allergic to citing his sources.
Yeah, on that note, doesn't he have like his whole list of citations is for the annoying people? Isn't that what it's called?
God forbid that, we ask for citations.
One person is asking everybody else to trust his ability to go through data and properly interpret what a paper or whatever is saying and what the implications are. And that's a person that's not really had any training in the sciences that I'm aware of. So that's kind of arrogant. I would say, okay, here I have an article, but I also have the paper, the links to the papers that it's citing. Have at it. Tell me, help me understand if this is good or going down the wrong path.
Well, something else he says, I don't know if we'll see it in the stream or not. I don't remember what place it took part in, but he said, "Girl, are you aware that the one with the patent on the coronavirus vaccine said that it is useless against Omicron?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's known, that the vaccines have little to no impact on preventing you from getting Omicron."
I mean, it's the same thing as like vaccines against new flu strains.
Yeah, it reduces severity if you get it.
You made a good point. Right, exactly. Girl, you
made a good point there about the severity. Here's the article that I think I linked. Moderna CEO says vaccines are likely less effective, but John says that they're ineffective.
Right.
Exactly. So John claims that he said they're ineffective, and what he said is that because of the amount of mutations in Omicron, there's a chance that the vaccines are not going to be as effective. That's what the CEO said. He did not say they were ineffective.
Right.
Okay.
But the vaccine reduces symptoms. There's no question about that.
It helps.
No question.
And that's another thing I said with OG COVID. I was never under the impression that the vaccine means you will not get it at all. It's just that if you get it, your symptoms are less severe.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it
went like
harm.
you
It's
said,
a harm
Barry,
reduction.
You had it, right? It went through my house. My whole house got it, right? But the symptoms were very mild, and everybody was vaccinated. So and it could have gone, if we weren't vaccinated, it could have easily gone the other way, and somebody could have died. Easily could have died for sure.
Right. So then his next claim was that 70% of the people that were entering the hospital were vaccinated. And I looked up the CDC report on that, and the numbers were nothing like that at all. It was more like 20% with Omicron were vaccinated and 80% were not. So I don't know where he got that figure from, but he was claiming that 70% of the people being hospitalized were vaccinated.
Yeah, and again, it's like, can you just provide sources? Like, because everything I've heard has been the exact opposite. Like something along the lines of 8 out of 10 people hospitalized with COVID, 8 of them are non-vaxxed, and then the other percentage is vaxxed, but it's so low relatively.
Like you said, Speed. Somebody probably put out some garbage on Facebook. Right, and little people.
We have summoned
gobbles that right up and uses that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been typing out logical, plausible, probable in the side chat,
look who's
hoping
here.
that he would see it. It worked.
Oh, he's here. Oh, say it 3 times. Okay, what does he say?
Yeah, and
It's
I'm
funny
pretty
when you
sure
claim
that
them
folder is
provide
called
sources.
40 Annoying People, LPP.
Okay, yeah, but where are the papers, John, on this COVID shit that you claimed? Because about these 419 people that died of heart attacks. Anyway, I've got all the debunked stuff in the description.
Yeah, John, do us a favor. Read what. Just click on the links in the description box. Just do that.
And John, I don't think Perry's gonna trigger me much. He might trigger you because he believes in evolution from single cells all the way forward.
Yeah.
So you might ask him about that because I think he said that it's nonsense not to believe in evolution.
Oh, we're all gonna have to go there when they're doing that stream and just ask those questions.
Yeah, he might trigger you a little bit, John. Oh my God. Anyway, hilarious. Oh, well, as long as John
is that guy a Christian too? Is he? Or what?
Yeah, he's a Christian. Yeah,
he's a Christian.
Definitely.
Well, actually, it's a good question. I mean, I don't know if John, he put in the chat, like if he is anti-vaccine, does he believe that vaccines are bad and that, or have you taken the vaccine?
Let's hear a direct answer from that.
I mean, just an honest question. I'm not trying to attack anybody. I was just
and I did somewhere in the stream just come out and say, okay, how many people in here think that no one should get the COVID vaccine? Two people answered, and their answers was, yeah, I don't think anyone should get it. And then I don't know if John answered. I don't think he answered, at least not the first time that I asked.
So I asked him
he likes to avoid that stuff. Yeah,
if he's vaxxed. Yeah.
I like Christopher's comment. He's essentially dissing like he would fail John in his classroom.
Who said that? Oh, yeah. Don't understand how citations work.
Oh, you missed the whole point.
Oh, well,
Here we go.
Here we go,
John. You missed it. He says that all the time. You missed the whole point. You don't get it. You don't see reality like I do.
You're not supposed to actually if you post papers publicly, you can get copyright striked because those papers, I can't just take a bunch of my papers and give them away, put them on for public use because they could, the journal owns the rights to those. That's you're technically not allowed to do that.
I do want to clarify something. When I said that John did not have any citations, I meant for what he was saying in the stream concerning the corona vaccine. Yeah. He might have citations for other stuff, but I never got a single citation for 400 athletes are dying of the coronavirus. And
he posts the papers on his site, which he probably shouldn't be doing publicly anyway. Though there is this issue about the horsemen, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't know. Anyway.
What about the Batman?
Seems we're dissing him too much.
Oh, as long as John is here, should we play this? Maybe and explain this to us.
It looks like he's leaving.
Hey, Speed, I wish we had the video of, remember the comment that he made was like, even my 10-year-old daughter can understand the bullshit that I'm talking about. Or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got that right, John. She can figure you out.
Even my 10-year-old daughter knows bullshit when she sees it.
Yeah, all the bullshit that I talk about. That was funny.
That was precious.
I mean, the reason that citations are used is because somebody is writing a paper or they're writing a summation. They're presenting their own ideas. They're saying this, this, and this, and they are referencing other people. And that's why we use citations. We just don't say, here's the paper. We say, you make a statement of X, Y, and Z, and then you cite someone if you're referring to some of the content. But, you don't just say, well, here's a big batch of papers. Go check them out.
Look, LPP's most recent comment demonstrates he does not understand the burden of proof.
I'm trying
Too lazy to go open them up and read them. It's not my problem.
Stop being so diplomatic there. Jason.
No,
Yeah,
I've been
come
trying
on.
to be nice to people anymore.
I
Like
know,
I'm trying,
I know.
We
you know, not.
appreciate
Come on.
Such
Hey,
a
and
dick.
I know I talk a lot of smack to John and
But-
about John, but we do get along, even though he insults me. But
You
you
do.
know what? To be fair, I insult him too. So it's
Yeah.
You do have to call out garbage, though, at least a little bit, right?
well. I don't think Jason is saying not call out garbage, but there is a
Yeah,
civil way to
yeah.
go about it.
I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jason is the remaining a sense of sanity in the room currently.
No, I mean, like to be honest, like I've been on multiple streams with John where like I've like screamed at him and yelled at him. We went
Some
back
of
and
those were on
forth.
my channel, I think.
Well, he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it civil, right? According to him, everybody's a dumbass. I mean, look at it. He's writing it in the chat right now, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. we're all
everybody's a
dumbasses.
dumbass, and they just can't see reality like him.
Are we gonna play the clip where he kicks me, Speed? Are we doing that today?
We could do that.
Yeah, we should
I
while
don't know.
John's here.
I
That would
figure
be
I might
fun.
as well do it while
Might as well,
while
yeah.
his presence is still remaining.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, if I can find it amongst all these different. Let's see, what is the name of it again?
It was the common descent one,
Common
or
descent,
evidence
yeah.
for common descent after show.
But do you have the
let's-
time? Do you know the time? You had a bunch of timestamps you set on it, but do you have
It
that?
was it was like around 25 to 28 minutes was when
Yeah,
we were
this one
talking,
right
and he
here.
just kicked me.
Yeah. So let's see if I can hide the cat on this and get to the right clip. Do
Thanks,
I
Pete.
have it? Is this where he kicked you? Oh, this is
No, I think it was before that.
yeah. He kicked. Okay, so how far before that? This is where he kicked you, I think. So let's see. Did he kick you here? Why don't I have? I'm pretty sure I
Wait,
got
was
bookmarked. This.
38
is the
minutes
right
or
one,
28
right?
minutes? I can't remember.
Where the hell did he kick you? Okay, I'm going back.
I'm pretty sure it was closer to like 28 minutes.
Okay, there you are. Okay, there 29. You got to disappear. So, how far back did we go? 28. Want to try?
Yeah, or go like 27. We'll just listen to like 2 minutes of it,
Okay.
just
Yeah,
to give context.
Like nobody would ever make that argument because they have wheels and doors and a windshield.
Well, I'm
and
not saying that one came from another. I'm saying this is how we classify it.
I
Car with a
understand.
rotary
Oh,
and
yeah,
never
some
fit
of this.
in.
I understand that, Andrew. My point is that
I don't think
whole
you do.
point- Yeah, bro, you're obviously not grasping the point here because
Bro.
the point is that as an evolutionist, you are claiming that because there's similarities in structure, that you can derive a phylogenetic tree based on the phylogenies from inference, right? Because of similarities. Like, are you denying that this is happening?
Well, specific types of similarities, if you want to call it that.
Okay, so do you agree or disagree that a foundation of evolutionary theory is derived from this one has phalange, I have 5 fingers, therefore they must have common ancestors? Yes or no?
No.
Well, 5 fingers with respect to what? Like, you're not going to say they have the same trait, therefore they're related. That's not how it's done.
Oh god, dude.
Hey, so
You say they have like
Andrew,
feathers, for
please.
example, with respect
Andrew,
to reptiles
please
which don't have feathers.
Andrew, please don't play dumb, dude. I'm very tired and I don't have time for stupidity.
I don't
Hey,
think
John,
you're quite
I-
understanding what I'm
Are
saying.
you? I'm asking you directly, and you're trying to dance and dodge around a point. I'm assuming you're not this dumb, Andrew, but Jackson, do you follow the point that's being made? Because you are arguing this. Your foundation of your argument tonight is on fossils, correct?
basically, yeah.
Okay,
But,
cool.
I
And
have
is a dramatic portion of the fossil record and the way it is leveraged in order to be evidence in favor of evolution? Is it or is it not based on similar morphologies? Not the only, but one
Part of
of. Okay, cool. So, do you agree or disagree that if you're going to argue similar morphology is evidence for evolution, that you could or could not make the same argument
Spade, you muted.
For they must have common ancestry. Yes or
And you can make that analogy.
no? Okay, cool.
But
So-
that's not how phylogenetics is done. It's a nested pattern.
Oh my dude, Andrew.
You're not comparing two like things to another like thing.
Andrew, yes. Oh. Andrew, you are so dumb sometimes, bro. I'm done with you tonight.
There you go.
There you go.
That whistly. Never mind. Wish we had a noise for that.
Zip. Yeah.
So I got
That
a
was
question
also
real quick. Were we gonna? I'm sorry. You probably have further discussion, but once y'all are done with this particular segment, I have a question about something.
Ooh. Which way to
Go
go?
ahead, Andrew. Give us some
Go ahead,
little
Andrew.
feedback.
I was just gonna say I also got the title "Myopic Little Twerp" in this in the following sentences or two. So I'm just gonna add
You need
that.
to have that put on a coat of
there you go.
arms.
Did he call you a myopic little?
so-
Yeah, in
Keep
like
playing it a little
the
bit.
next minute or so. Just
Keep
play it.
Play it a little more, yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be fun if it turned out you were like 6'9"?
Okay. Let's listen.
Like, I understand that there's additional variables in phylogeny,
But
Andrew.
John,
I understand this, but we're talking about there's a variety of things that are used by the evolutionary biologists in order to supposedly substantiate the phylogenetic trees versus the fossil record, and they're used to cross reference each other. Is that true or is that false, Jackson?
I'm sorry, I was reading the side chat. Can you reiterate a little bit of that?
Do evolutionary biologists and paleontologists cross-reference
Paleontologist.
their evidences and say, oh, because it was there's these similarities both from a genetic perspective as well as just general morphology, and then there's these fossils over here that have similar shapes, therefore they must be derived from each other. Is that or is that not what is happening in terms of the way many of the inferences are made for the supposed evolutionary history?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying, it's not saying the only thing. I'm saying, is that or is that not happening?
Yeah, I would say it's happening, yeah.
Okay, cool. So then, if that is the case, then you can't, like Andrew just did, you can't just dismiss this stuff and say, oh, well, because there's additional factors that you haven't quite discovered, we haven't gotten into yet, therefore the point you're making is invalid.
But I
And this is what drives me up the wall with myopic little twerps like Andrew. He always does this stuff.
Oh my God! Can you please change your name to myopic little twerp?
right now.
Yes,
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 soon.
please do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hold on.
definitely myopic little twerp.
By the way,
That's
if
what you
anyone in
want
the
today.
chat or just in general wants me to explain why everything John said is wrong, please let me know.
I didn't quite understand what John was talking
ahead.
about.
Go ahead,
So,
Andrew.
Okay. Yeah. Just basically, he's talking about comparing homologies, these similar structures between organisms, which is part of what phylogenetics is about. But what I was trying to say, or what I was trying to approach it, was basically there would be some kinds of similarities, namely ones that don't conform to a nested hierarchy, that would be the opposite of what we would expect from evolution. So, for example, you could have mammals with feathers and birds with feathers. That would be a similarity, but it would be evidence against common descent because it wouldn't correspond with all the other traits that we know about. So, so it's not just about similarity, it's the specific pattern of those similarities. That's the evidence for evolution. So, please correct your mistake, John, because you are dead wrong on that.
And when it comes to automobiles, if we ever did a phylogeny of automobiles, it would become really fucking obvious that it broke all the rules of nested hierarchies, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I actually brought this point to John in the side chat of one of his videos, and guess what he said? You're still missing the point.
Yeah.
You're not getting me
You're not
because
getting the
you
point.
don't disagree.
I don't know. I just found
Ox
it
is
hilarious.
making some great points in the side chat about little beefy Ox.
He must have taken a course in logic and argumentation.
Okay, to be fair, Ox, to be
no.
fair, Smokey and LPP, they don't get along anymore.
Yeah, they don't get along anymore.
Smokey thinks LPP is going to hell.
And look, as much as I'm fine with people, like if people want to make fun of people, fine. I can't tell people what to do, but like this is what some folks on his channel do. They just like dismiss you and call you names as opposed to addressing the question at hand. But the thing I think is that even if we didn't call LPP names, you would be able to address his positions and show how they are not correct. And that's the biggest slam of all. You can call people names, but if you're like, look, your ideas aren't sound because of X, Y, and Z, whatever, man, I'm not going to call you a name. It's just what you said is wrong. And
so
I can show
Jason, to be really clear, the reason I call it Lil PP names is not because of the dumb ideas that the bad science that he puts forth. Okay. It's because of his absolute refusal to cooperate when you ask him for a source or when you ask him to back something up. He just gets all pissy with you. And that becomes a personal matter, right? And when if you want to get down and get dirty and get personal, well, I'm going to fucking fire back at you. But, the thing is that he hardly puts out any real points scientifically that one can address. Most of what John puts out is condescension and nasty shit. I mean, as far as points, the only thing he's ever said is it's a code. And can you imagine that a telephone created itself? That's all he ever says. I mean, he never says anything.
I think he spends so much time being very careful about what he says because he knows he will say something absolutely stupid and he can't communicate his point across very well, and nobody understands what the hell he's talking about because he's so careful about what he says because he knows he's going to say something stupid and embarrass himself. So I think he spends more time thinking about that than anything.
Well,
Jason,
Andrew asks very good questions. I'm going to tell you, Andrew's still in college. You know what? He asks very, very relevant questions, and even like he asked me some questions. I'm like, you know what? That's a hard question to answer. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when he's asking it, now he comes back and says you're a moron, or it just kind of says he can't answer that question. So
I wonder.
If I may real quick, or just add on to what you were saying before, Jason. Just real quick. So I think one misconception or misconstruing that kind of happens in the YouTube community nowadays is people make insults and they kind of misconstrue that with ad hominems, because ad hominem is saying you're so and so, therefore you're wrong, and Speed's not. Well, I mean, we may all do that sometimes, but like I don't think Speed's doing that. Like he's saying you're an idiot. Here's the reasons why.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm
not
Jason,
saying anything.
Jason,
I know. I was just adding on to that. Sorry.
I want to give you a little history here. So it was about a year and a half ago that John and I actually had a debate, and he was still talking to me. And then I started pressing him on giving me a source for something. I wanted him to give me the paper that he was talking about, and we went back and forth, and then all of a sudden we're enemies because I asked for a fucking paper.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, what happened? It's like, and that kind of started the whole thing. And I have no respect for him because of that, because he will not source things.
And if I had to guess, LPP called you names first. I'm not saying that justifies it, but it definitely is like, well, I mean, if somebody calls me names, then I'll probably do the same.
Yeah, well, he jumped on the bandwagon way back when Speed was what he's talking about. Little Peepee jumped on the bandwagon with the rest of them because I think
Speed of pedo pudding.
Yeah, Smokey started it, and then it was Tony Maurice and all of those guys. They all
why did he call you pedo pudding? Like what?
Oh, because I hadn't watched that. There was a film on Netflix, and everybody was going off on it.
Oh yeah.
And I hadn't watched it yet, and I was kind of defending Netflix's right to put it out there. And the artist, I was saying that the artist had the right to do what the artist did, and I hadn't even watched the fucking thing yet. And Smokey just went nuts on me, and he went nuts on all of us. What was it? Rapeable Destiny, and what other names did he have, Scott? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
There was a lot.
Leo, I forget what he did with Leo, but he just came after us, and that was the very first time that I had come up against what happens to you when you're on YouTube. You know, the first time that somebody really said anything nasty to me, it was fucking Smokey and John going on. They did a whole stream on it, you know, and they went off on me.
Yeah, and then they, like I said, they all jumped on it, standing for truth. And then what's his Sal, right? I mean, Sal made some nasty comments too, and Sal, you're right, and Sal is not like that, right, Jason? You've always made comments about how nice Sal is, but if you look back at the history, there's been some nasty. Yeah,
I've said Sal is nice.
Yeah, you just said that the other day when you were on.
Sal's been really nice to me, so I'm nice to him.
Absolutely. I think the last time you were on here, we were talking about Sal, and you said he was really nice. And
really, I said that.
You did. Yes,
I think.
Wow,
like,
I blocked that
people
shit
like
out.
Dr. Dan have also said that. I don't know. It seems a little too extreme to me.
The one time I haven't had a lot of interfaces with Sal, but the one time, like I was like ripping his ass on like him saying he had like a pilot's degree as a degree, and like he jumped all over me, and I was like, "Fuck you, man!" Like, all right, well, Sal's a nice guy. Okay, yeah, he can be nice. He has the
he can be nice. Yeah,
he's been nice to me, so that's all that matters.
I'm real curious, Andrew. Which of your professors at college call you a myopic little twerp whenever you ask questions?
You know, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I just invited the spatchcock boys.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, can I ask about this little thing here? I'm going to share my screen. Apparently. Dr. Dan.
I was just gonna say, like, we've touched on LPP too much in this stream already. Let's move on.
Yeah, I don't want to touch the LPP.
We've touched too many
little touch the little PP. You could get arrested for that.
Okay, I got a weird Twitter tweet last night, and it was Dr. Dan saying they were about to go live at 8:00 or whatever and dismantle this documentary, which I'd never heard of. But it actually turns out they're like recording 6 sessions together, I think, where they're just going to load them eventually. But has anybody heard of this documentary? Is my question.
No. I think I saw clips of it in his Dr. Dan's latest creation myths, though.
Hey,
we got a link. We got a link to that.
I'm just glad I got a link to this. I mean, man, that was the most passive aggressive way to request a link, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty good. But you know,
here's a link to the channel.
I always send you and your brother a link at exactly the same time because I can't tell you apart. So.
Jay, that was some interesting meta streaming over the weekend, wasn't it?
Oh, the trippy one? Yeah, that one went 4 layers deep, didn't it?
My head's still spinning.
It went so deep it put her butt to sleep. Yep.
What the
okay, so I put a link to the channel speed into the private chat, but I can't find a full video. They may want you to buy a DVD or something. But like do you recognize the guy in the second thumbnail they have there?
John Sanford.
Somebody got a phone call.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Somebody's ringtone? Because that's
Lowrider. I got that when I first went over to AT&T, and I've just been using it ever since.
So anyway, as for my trippy stream from the over the weekend, I have been going around claiming that I am the one. I was the final straw that broke the Rage's back.
You broke Rage.
Yeah. You're taking the credit.
Yeah, I've been spreading that rumor around, I did it. I got him.
Yeah, thanks whoever highlighted that comment.
I was on Praise's channel in his live chat saying that. Yeah, I ended Rage's channel.
So do you have to buy these or what, Scott?
Well, right now I'm thinking you have to buy them. There's Amazon link, and then there's a link to their website.
I'll be fucked if I'll buy them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
well,
buy it, but
you know me. I have to have all the sources, so I may end up buying them. I don't know.
Yeah, but those really good sources though, or just you have to have their sources?
I just have to have everything they do. I just have to have it.
I don't want to buy the link. Just put the link in a long folder and title it something.
Okay, let's see what this shit costs. So, you can rent it for $4.99 or buy it for $15. God damn it!
You know, this may have actually popped up on my feed for Prime Video or something. You know,
John
the documentaries. But
You know,
anyway,
they raised the fucking price. They should give us this stuff for free, I think.
There's like I said, the team of Dapper Dino, Creation Myths, and Gutsit Gibbon are going to do a 6-part dismantling of Dismantled, apparently, in the future. I don't know exactly when. It's just like I got a Twitter, or is it a tweet? I got a tweet that said they were going to do it at 8:00 last night, but then it didn't go anywhere. Like the link was just led me to a blank screen and that said private chat or private video or something. So
what? It has 5 stars.
Well, 33 Christians get on there and say it's great.
Oh,
then it won't have 5 stars.
Okay, so I just saw Georgia Purdom on the preview on this one.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
So anyway, she's there.
Yeah, I was looking at the scientists: John Sanford, Nathaniel Jensen, Georgia Purdom, Andrew Snelling. It's all the characters that you know.
The big names.
Guys, save me. Please save me from these fuckers. Somebody take away my fucking YouTube channel, please.
You could probably say that there's like just a small handful of like these scientists, and they're the ones that are pushing these theories. They legitimize the topic.
Yeah, they're the ones that make other YEC Christians think that their creationism is a much bigger deal than it actually is.
I will say I want to make the distinction. They may be scientists in other work, but they're not scientists when they do this kind of work, if that's what you want to call it. Or they're not doing the scientist way.
Okay, back. Some of them were good scientists. Some of them still are doing some good work, but very rarely. For the most part, they've been paid off. You know?
Yeah, I was watching one of Dapper Dinosaur's debunked of Dan Biddle, and I just casually looked up his qualifications, and he has a PhD, but it's in organizational psychology. And he's got a BS in organizational psychology and a master's in organizational psychology. Yet he's getting up there talking about quote unquote, what science really indicates or whatever.
Well,
and really, the only thing he's a professor in is propaganda, because that's kind of what organizational psychology is about.
Yeah, like
not
I like
entirely,
this one
but it kind of is.
Yeah, I like the physicist Sean Carroll, what he said. Kevin Padian, a paleontologist, in a video. I don't know if I have the link right now, but he said just because you have a science degree doesn't mean you're a scientist or an expert or anything like that. You could have these people. You could have a science degree and you're not technically a scientist because you're not out publishing or testing your ideas or critiquing your ideas or stuff like that. So I kind of like that formulation of it.
Yeah.
At least to a certain extent. Because I mean, like they said, degrees help.
There's a bunch of papers that I've looked at recently. One man in particular, I won't mention his name, but I mean, they have a hypothesis, or there's a couple. They have a hypothesis, and they're really into it, and they've discovered something new, and they're pushing their hypothesis. Scientists can be wrong about shit, right?
Totally.
and you just got to look at it all. I mean, you have to look at the whole body of fucking knowledge. And
sometimes the biggest discoveries we've made in science have been from scientists being wrong.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things of this, the whole thing about ERVs, okay, endogenous retroviruses, and how we're finding function for them.
This whole time I've been mute. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I muted you because you were making so much fucking noise. In the
Okay. I'll mute. Sorry. Yeah, you're good.
I don't know what you were doing, but you were.
Mrs. Mania is making a lot of racket.
Oh yeah,
I blame it on her.
Well, yeah, when you get the recycling done, you know, you can unmute.
Okay.
And hey, girl, I tried to ask you in that live stream if you and Mrs. Gurr, found a new church when you guys were out on your little excursion, and you couldn't figure that out either. Right? You couldn't get that.
I told you. I said, yeah, I'm trying to find a Church of Satan so that Satan won't just bless me, but bless both of us, because we'll be going to a Satan's church. So I did answer that.
Good job.
Oh, no, did we lose Jay? Where'd Jay go?
Yeah,
he's
probably
Jay.
At work. He's usually
Jay
at
was
work.
in here.
I don't know where he went.
I
was gonna blame. I was gonna blame Jay for all that noise, and I realized he was gone.
Yeah, I'll mute until I have something to say.
All right, what were you saying? Something, Speed?
Yes. Okay. On ERVs, there have been a number of papers, where the title of the paper indicates that they found, suddenly we found, function for viruses in the genome. And then you read the paper, and like this one paper that I think Standing had on his screen, the title was ERVs may be important for the immune system or whatever. And then you go ahead and read the paper, and all the paper said is, we don't know, we don't understand this yet. And they found like some evidence, that there's some effect on the immune system.
An indication.
Yeah, an indication. And you look at it, and then you realize that, out of the millions and millions of fucking retroviruses or transposons that we have in our genome, they found evidence for about 12 of them, that are functional. And that is exactly what evolution would predict. That some of these things are going to end up being beneficial, but it's going to be very tiny. Randolph disappeared.
Because that's evidence they've been co-opted if like only some of them have function and most of the other ones don't.
Right. Yeah, and the thing about them being important for the immune system, okay, is Randolph is not connecting. The thing about them being important for the immune system is they are viruses, right? And there are parts of our system, biology, that will detect viruses. And these ERVs end up triggering that system and giving you a little more immunity because they're fucking viruses. And your cell is saying, hey, I found a virus in my own genome, and I'm going to basically kick up my immune system. And that's basically what the paper was all about. And then they found one that goes back about 150 million years to the beginning of placental mammals. I'm not sure if that timing is right, Andrew. You'd probably know better than I. But anyway, this one particular virus became mutated and ended up having an effect on how placental mammals evolved, which is exactly what we'd expect for evolution. But other than that, there is, and then Cell Cordova with this bullshit about this new what is it, adenine to inosine conversion, and claiming that there's, all of a sudden all of these viruses are being used as human memory, and it's just bullshit. It's all bullshit. I mean, there's one effect that we'll make a new discovery, and they take that new discovery and somehow they extrapolate it, to God's magnificent design, and it just isn't that. You have to read the paper, understand the molecular biology, and you can see what's really going on. And what they say is going on is not what's going on, boys and girls. They lie. Are they lying, or are they just being hopeful? I don't know the difference anymore. I don't know.
It's probably a little of both, I would say. Yeah, probably.
Well, I mean, it's like
that claim, by the way, Speed. Hold on.
it's like SFT, paper after paper after paper. Yeah, of course. They're publishing paper after paper after paper. You can find 20 papers on any fucking thing. It doesn't mean you can extrapolate it to the entire genome and say that you found this thing that it's like ribosomal pausing that John Maddox is always going on about. Yeah, they found some evidence that ribosomal pausing affects the folding of some proteins. And they found it a lot in bacteria back in the 1980s, I think. And then recently they found a case in eukaryotes, basically, where ribosomal pausing could have an effect. That doesn't mean that it's built into every gene. That's one fucking gene, and it's like, God, stop it, guys. Molecular biology is complicated.
Yeah. So Speed, I looked up the earliest, I think, to my understanding, basal euphorian, aka placental mammal known, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And it says it's around 160 million years. So sometime around then, I don't know if it's still considered part of that lineage, but I think you're off a little bit.
Okay, that would be even pushing it back even further.
Yeah, push a little 10 million years.
I think the viruses were with us for like about 1 billion years, that they've been infecting our genome and having an effect.
What did you do to make Jay go away?
I don't know what I did.
Let us announce Randolph's presence in the room. Hey, Randolph.
Hi, Randolph.
Randolph Richardson. Welcome.
Hello.
Sometimes along.
Has your economy collapsed because of those truckers?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Canadian economy has already been struggling because of the pandemic for the last few years. And so, they've created some more problems here. And they've kind of made things worse. And they've made it quite clear that's their intention. So it hasn't hurt us as much as some people were expecting it would, which is good. But they had a good 3 weeks to run their protests, and there was vandalism, there were threats, there was violence. Not a lot of it, but there was some. And so whenever you hear them out there saying there was no violence, that's wrong. When they try to dumb it down and limit it and say that there was only one Nazi flag and one Confederate flag, those are also lies. There's been quite a few instances of those, but it's not the majority of the protesters. So,
you realize they're planning on doing that here now? They have plans for blockades here.
Yeah. So what I think their strategy is, because I've been listening carefully to what their lawyers are saying, and their lawyers are basically spilling their guts about their defense plans, which surprises me because I thought most lawyers were smarter than that. But I guess they're used to explaining everything in the courts, so they're probably just doing that way. But their lawyers are actually misinterpreting our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and their way they're putting requirements on the Emergencies Act is a little odd. One of the big pieces of misrepresentation that they're putting out here is they're saying that the Emergencies Act is a modification of the War Times Act. It is not. The War Times Act was disbanded and a new act, the Emergencies Act, was created. It included some things from the Wartime Act, but it also included a very important thing in it. So it's a brand new act. It's not a modification of the previous one. And it's so it specifies right at the beginning that everybody's charter rights and our Charter of Rights and Freedoms must not be interfered with during the emergencies as much as possible. So the Emergencies Act is properly justified. The government did consult with all the provinces and territories, and so they've met all the requirements. And yet the lawyers are saying that none of that happened. It's like, haven't you been paying attention? Like, come on. So and from my understanding, most of the people I know here in Canada are fine with the Emergencies Act going in, because, you know, there's some people who are out there, scaremongers, that are saying, oh, now the Emergencies Act is in, they're going to take over everything. You're not going to have any rights anymore, which is contrary to the act. And it's also not how our government normally operates. We're still, even though the Emergencies Act is in effect, we're still asking people instead of just running in, ramming everything down. So my understanding is the USA has a similar kind of act in the legal system. I don't know anything about it, and I'm going to guess that it's structured a bit differently than the one here. But I don't know how similar and how different it is, so I really can't talk on it. But the impression I get is that there's quite a lot of Americans who are speaking up here and doing stuff, and we've been seeing things we've been seeing some protesters going around wearing MAGA hats and things like that too. So, almost a little less than half of the funding for this protest has been coming from Americans. And that's fine. Everybody's going to donate, right? And the reason those funds got frozen is because the protests are illegal. They're violating Canadian law. Like, we've had many protesters here, like the Black Lives Matter protests were fine. They didn't break laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I just listened to a conservative talk radio show while I was waiting for my son in a parking lot. And
very interesting.
Okay, the first thing I heard about is they had an advertisement begging people to sign up for this cell phone network that did not donate money to the liberal left. And they were saying, and then they had some Christian message. And then he went on to talk about how excited he was that the truckers in America were going to do a blockade. And he was excited because he knows that the Americans would respond very harshly and probably take tanks and plow the fuckers into the river. And he was excited about that because that would show how evil the liberals are, basically, that they would do this. Then he went on to complain about them putting barriers around the Capitol every time they have a protest or some big thing going on.
Yeah.
As he put it, it's as if they expect us conservatives to go crazy and storm the Capitol. And
like what happened like a little over a year ago?
Yeah. It's like, what? And then what else did he say? Oh, he was all excited about a few things. Oh, and then he was talking about how horrible it was when Black Lives Matter protests came about, that nothing was done at all. The police didn't respond, didn't get any pushback. There was no, like, the National Guard, when they showed up in Minnesota, apparently the National Guard showed up to bring them cookies. I don't know. I think that was his point.
So if the National Guard is bringing you cookies instead of bullets, then I think it's safe to assume that you're being peaceful.
Yeah. But anyway, so in Minnesota here, they shut down I-35 through Minneapolis for the George Floyd protests. But that was all done with the state and city approval.
How long was it
in advance?
How long was it shut down for?
Couple hours.
Not even a whole day.
No.
See, the protesters have been shutting down roads here for weeks at a time. It's been almost 3 weeks before we started moving them off the roads, because we need those roads operational so that we can continue to keep the economy working. And so that's why the Emergencies Act was put in place, because people were refusing to leave. And when I was driving down Knight Street, which is a main street, one of the main streets here in the Vancouver area, Greater Vancouver area here in BC, Canada, I was driving. It was about 0700 hours in the morning here, Pacific time, and I was off to see a client. And I had I counted all the trucks I saw on the road. I thought, I'm going to count these and see how many trucks are here and try to figure out how many have protest support signs on them. And I counted close to about 100 trucks. I'm probably off by plus or minus 5 or 10 or something like that, but it's approximately 100 trucks. And so what happened was I saw one truck had a sign on it that says F Trudeau. I mean, they don't like our prime minister, Justin Trudeau, but none of the other trucks had any signage on them. None of them had any flags hanging out the window like they just left a hockey game. They're just normal trucks, business as usual. I'm just not seeing the support for it, because they could very easily put a sign up on their truck or in their windows. I saw none of that stuff. And I don't really see that in anybody's cars. Once in a while, once in a blue moon, we see somebody with that, and that's about it. They're really, it's like they're less than a minority. So when I hear the protesters saying that they're everywhere and all the truckers are supporting them, et cetera, that's a lie. And I'm noticing that as the pressure goes on to them, they are pushing the narrative harder and harder and more pronounced that they're winning, but they've already lost a long time ago. It's just a matter of getting the noisemakers where they need to be.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
and all of this was because
it's a different picture here than in Ottawa. In Ottawa, where it all started, there's still a lot of stuff going on. So,
I really wanted to see a scene of a bunch of tanks or ice road trucks or whatever just pushing those trucks off into a ditch or something.
Yeah, that would not make me happy. That's not how we want to see things be done here in Canada, and that's part of the reason why they had close to 3 weeks to clear up themselves. And so now we're finally having to do that. And what happened is when the police first came in, our national police force, mostly the RCMP and the Ontario police came in, working together on this one in Ontario, the eastern part of Canada. They had where capital city is and all this, Ottawa. They first, the night before, they went around and they talked to everybody very friendly and said, look, we're going to be clearing off these roads tomorrow. Might be a good time to clear out of here. You guys have been here for a long time, and because we need to clear up these roads. And it's kind of talking with people in a reasonable way. Right. So the next day rolls along. Most of the people have already left. They decided to take the message from the police, which is normal. It's what most law-abiding people do anywhere in the world. And so the ones that remained refused to go, and so their vehicles started getting towed. They started getting arrested because they refused. And then when people saw arrests, quite a few of them started leaving as well. So this is my understanding of what's going on there. So it started clearing up, and then we got the roads working again, which is good because now our economy can carry on. And like, they're free to protest. They can stand on the sides of the roads and hold up their signs. They can be in their vehicles as long as they're not blocking traffic. As soon as you're blocking traffic, that is actually illegal in Canada. You can't be blocking traffic. Like, if your car is broken down, the police are not going to charge you for it. But if you're there doing a protest or something, then that's going to be an issue. So yeah, so I'm just here in the western side. I'm not really seeing the support for it. Alberta, my guess is you'll probably see a lot more support there because Alberta tends to be a lot more right-wing politically than here in BC, which is a lot more left-wing oriented.
Was this all because truckers are afraid of getting a needle?
No, actually, over 90%, over 91% of Canadians, including truckers, are already vaccinated. And the protest comes along and claims to be all about anti-vaccine mandates, but they're saying they're pro-freedom. It's not a freedom convoy. When they came up and first and said, oh, Canada's lost their freedoms, we need to get our freedoms back, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? We haven't lost our freedoms. Our Charter of Rights still applies. And some of them are complaining after the arrests now that the police haven't been reading their Miranda rights to them. You might hear that talking point on the conservative AM hate radio stations. But what's actually the case is no police officer in Canada is required to read Miranda rights to anybody. That's U.S. case law. It has nothing to do with Canada.
That's what I was about to ask you because, Miranda means American. It does. It's
yeah. There was a case.
Call it that anywhere else.
Yeah, there was a case a long time ago in the U.S. where somebody whose family name I believe is their family name, named Miranda, was the subject of some police abuse or something. So they, I'm not clear on the details, but the courts decided that a whole bunch of rights have to be read out to people when they're arrested, and so now now here in Canada, you have the right to have a private conversation with a lawyer. That means the police department cannot record the encounter at all. And so it's because our privacy law, according to our privacy law here in Canada, you can't have video surveillance in an area where people have a reasonable expectation of privacy, like washrooms, things like that. So, and if you do have video surveillance up at a workplace, for example, you have to have some signage indicating that. So our privacy laws require all this. So the police will provide a private place for you to have a conversation with the police officer or with your lawyers. And so you have that right at any time to request a lawyer. The police just don't have to read all these rights to you. And but they will ask you, do you need a lawyer? That's typically what they'll do. They normally do that here. So it's kind of different here. And
what about searching vehicles? Like if you get pulled over, do you have to let them search your vehicle? Or
real quick, I just wanted to say I've got to get going. It was good talking with all of you. And Randolph, always a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. I'm just going to quickly read from our charter. Because the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, I think, specifies that if it's not there, it's in the criminal code. Because I want to get this right, so just give me a sec here.
Sure.
It's not an area that I focus on because I've never had need to do anything with that. Because
I was just wondering, that's what people deal with here, whether a search was illegal or not, and then do you really have to talk to this cop or?
So what happens is under Section 8 of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, everyone has the right to be secure against unreasonable search or seizure. Okay. So what qualifies as reasonable, that becomes it can be a murky area, but
it's interpreted by the courts.
Yeah, and so the police here don't typically search people's vehicles. Unless they have some reason to do so. Now, if you're under arrest, then they need to search your vehicle. That's part of it, right? If they have reasonable suspicion that, like, if you're not giving them straight answers, like these people that call themselves First Amendment auditors, if they were here and talking off to the police and saying, I'm not telling you who I am and stuff like that, here, I think that would probably be considered reasonable grounds for searching the person's vehicle if they're not cooperative with the police, right? So it's very simple. If you're driving on the road here, you're expected to provide your driver's license and insurance if the police pull you over and ask.
Sounds like it's almost identical to U.S., but maybe a little bit slightly more strict. Possibly,
I mean, in the U.S., even whether you're in your car or you are walking around, police have to have reasonable articulable suspicion to be able to detain you. Or in an instance of a car, they pull you over. They still have to have a reasonable articulable suspicion that you violated some offense, in order for them to get your ID. But in driving, like, there's been a lot of case law in the United States where, like, our driving laws are there's so many of them that I think there's some statement that's like, if you're a cop and you pull somebody over and you can't find a violation, then you're a bad cop, because there's so many violations. They could be like, oh, you didn't signal 300 feet in advance of the turn, or, oh, you didn't do this or that. So that aspect of reasonable articulable suspicion is like,
that would not be considered reasonable grounds, I think, for searching someone's vehicles if they forgot to signal.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, you can, but the thing is that there's also, like, I don't know if it's called pretextual stops, but it's like, if I pull you over for like for whatever, and I come up to your car, then I can, like, look in your car. I can be like, you know what? I smell marijuana. And they can be like, I want to search your car. I smell marijuana. Like, so there's a lot of leeway for driving in the United States for the cops to, like, do stuff like that.
So if they can see it in your vehicle and it is an item, like, say it's a handgun that's sitting in your back seat here, they have reason. It's okay for them to search your vehicle. Here, because but if they smell marijuana, now that marijuana is legal at the federal level in Canada, that's not a reasonable.
But you're driving. I'm sure you're not allowed to be intoxicated with marijuana.
The smell isn't enough. You have to actually see signs of intoxication. But what the police do have the right to do is to give you a sobriety test. So there's a number of ways they can do that. And if you fail those sobriety tests, then like, if you can't walk the straight line and you're too drunk to do it, then they've got reason to detain and arrest you for that. And so now what I'll just quickly do is I'll read the next sections here because they're very short. Number 9, everyone has the right to not to be arbitrarily detained or imprisoned. So it has to be justified under the law. It can't just be an arbitrary, I want to arrest you or I want to detain you. Right. Yeah. So now if the police officer suspects that that the person could be a threat to them, they have reasonable suspicion for that, then they have the right to detain somebody. So, and that can happen, right? But most people are pretty polite here, not putting up threats. So we almost never see this kind of thing here. But there is room for this. Now, as far as number 10, section 10 goes for arrest or detention, everyone has the right on arrest or detention, A, to be informed promptly of the reason therefore. And police here, if you ask a police officer what you're being arrested here for, they will tell you. It's not a problem. And so they tend to go along with that. Once in a while, you get an officer who doesn't do that. They're breaking the rule. But most of the time, it's fine. B, to retain and instruct counsel. B, to retain and instruct counsel without delay and to be informed of your right. And so, as I mentioned earlier, they have to tell you if you ask. They'll tell you right away, so that's fine. And C, to have the validity of the detention determined by way of habeas corpus and to be released if the detention is not lawful.
Yeah.
So these things here are protections that are put in place. So it's very important that the police all have the proper training on all this kind of stuff as well. And we do have national policing standards that flow down to the municipal level. And then the municipalities will augment it a little bit and change it for the local environment and stuff like that. But for the most part, this is all across the board. Every government agency has to comply with these rules. So this is our baseline.
We have these. I mean, what you were articulating, we have all in summary or like in general, we have the same things that you were mentioning. But the problem is that there's a lot of leeway for local police forces. We have like 3,000 local police forces that all are not well trained and make differing interpretations of like what you were saying. Like, if you're like, what are you detaining me for? They could say, you just need to shut up for now. And they're like, what am I being detained for? What am I being detained for? And eventually they could be like, well, you know what?
They'll arrest you.
You're mouthing off to me. You're being disorderly, or you're not. Like somebody says, I'm pulling. Like let's say you're walking down the street. Somebody's like, you know what? I don't like the way you look. Give me your ID. And the person's like, I don't have to give you my ID because I'm not lawfully arrested or detained. Do you have any reasonable articulable suspicion that I've done anything? Otherwise, you can't ask for my ID. Cop can say, you're not. That's a failure to ID. So, and that person could go, that's a secondary charge. You have to arrest me first. And then if I get arrested, I don't give you my ID. That's a crime. Cop can say, whatever, man, I'm going to arrest you. Talk to the judge. You get thrown in jail for like 3 days, 2 days. You see the judge and then they dismiss it.
We used to get beat up when we were kids for saying things like that to the cop.
Yeah.
Asking him, yeah.
So it's a big problem in the United States.
Well, for the most part, like I watch these Karen videos, 90% of those cops are so fucking patient and they're so good. I mean, it's like anything else. There's just a mix, and you got a few bad apples. And the big problem is training. They don't get proper training, and they're too goddamn young. They're just too young to be on the force.
They've got lots of testosterone flowing.
Yeah.
Don't like to be disrespected. If you disrespect a cop in the United States, watch out, man. They will mess you up. And you know what? Even if it's like not like you didn't violate any crimes, like you could get hurt. You could like spend time in jail,
You get shot.
Yeah. So most people just are like, whatever the cop says, I'll do it.
One of the prime directives of the police model here is compassion. And that's specifically a part of it. And what I've seen people who yell and scream at the police on rare occasions, but when I've seen it, and the officers just letting them yell, and I even talked to one of the officers afterwards about it, and because I was chatting with them, it was later on, and not immediately after, but it was same day, and they were just laughing about that. They said, "Yeah, they've seen that before." And I said, I guess our Charter of Rights and Freedoms supports that. I said, yep, they have freedom of expression. And the guy's smiling. It was like, all right, they've seen this before. They know. You don't know what's going on. And they have in recent years here, over a decade ago now, I guess, added mandatory mental illness training to the police training. So all the police have to have training in what mental illness is and dealing with that kind of stuff. So the job's gotten more complicated, I think.
Yeah.
Our federal policing agency can be outsourced by any municipality. And when a municipality opts to outsource to our federal police, 20% of it is paid for by the federal government. So a lot of municipalities do that. So we get a lot of consistency this way. And I think that's probably part of the reason we see a lot of consistency throughout Canada. That when I see in the US the variation, it surprises me from what I'm seeing on the news. And I always wonder if the news might be exaggerating things, though. But from what I'm hearing from people, that's not always the case.
Yeah, you run into a few. There are some, like I've seen some videos where the cops have been. Somebody has been screaming at them and calling them names, and they just sit there. And these people have such patience that I'm like, okay, that's the cop I want working in my city. But then on the other hand, like I got pulled over a couple of years ago by a young kid for expired tabs, and he just went fucking nuts on me. And he turned the heat up on that confrontation so much that I started to forget my basic rules, in dealing with police. Because he was just screaming at me, and I couldn't figure out why he was screaming at. Like I pulled into a Sam's Club, right, and I got out of my car. I'm really extremely hyper, and I pull in real fast, and I jump out and head to the store. And he starts screaming at me, "Get in the car! Get in the car!" And then he comes up to my car, and he's got his hand on his gun, and he said, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I look at him, and I say, "I'm shopping at Sam's Club. That's what's going on." It's like, and it was over an expired plate. I couldn't fucking believe it. And it took a while to calm the kid down. And it turned out I did. I swore I got my tabs that year, but apparently my memory was from the year before. So I was like 9 months expired, right? And it was like,
so I have noticed that the older officers tend to be more easygoing.
They've seen it all. So
you know what? I've seen all kinds.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds too. Yeah. But in general, that's what I've noticed. The younger ones are very often.
The problem is, okay. In that stop, that was right after that guy got shot who had a carry permit in northern Minneapolis. That was a pretty national case where he got shot. Going for his permit, I think he was looking for, and the cop thought he was looking for a gun. I forget the name of the case, but anyway, the cop I think went to jail for it. So it was right after that, and I had a carry permit, and I had a gun in my pocket, and and I've rehearsed this in my head over and over again. You put your hands on the wheel, you don't do anything, right? And this cop had me so jittery that I can't remember if I followed all my rules. And like that is dangerous. That is really fucking dangerous. And
I agree.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I just so you know, I posted a link to our Canadian Constitution, and I labeled it Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In the Constitution of Canada, this is from our Government of Canada website. Any website that ends with .gc.ca is official Government of Canada. That one is, if you search in there for Charter of Rights and Freedoms, or just search for Charter, you'll find the section that has our charter, and the numbering starts over in there from number 1. And if anybody's curious, take a look and see.
Put that in my description.
Sure. Yeah. Just make a note to search for the word charter in there to get to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms section. And because I think a lot of people probably find the rest of the Constitution to be kind of boring to read because it's got a lot of more Canadian specific stuff that's more to do with how we're setting up the country and stuff like that. So that's there's
guys that got me scared of the police now.
Well, you just got to be, you've got to really keep your calm and not do anything that's going to scare them, because they're just out of high school and they gave them a gun and they told them they had a job, and you got to be careful because
police officers, a lot of what they're trained on is like to defend, like it's defense. They're like, they're shown videos of like, guys in his car, and the police officer goes up and he doesn't check something, and the guy comes out and shoots him dead. They put the fear of God in these cops that like Everything you go, every car you go up to, you could get killed. So the cop's ready to pull his gun any moment.
I listened to a documentary on that, and I think something like 3% of the police shootings are during cold traffic stops, and they train them as if it's 100%.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, but the thing you got to remember, it takes one shot to the head and you're done, right? So that's the problem with it. That needs to be considered. You could be that one. That's the problem.
They don't have to shoot you in the head. They could just shoot you anywhere and you could die. I mean,
that's true. But if I just use that as an extreme example. So, but you're right. But yeah, I think what I've noticed is people who are polite and cooperative and will try to find what they need, and they say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to get this from my glove box, explain before they reach for something so the officer knows what's going on. These people don't run into any problems. Usually, not always, but most of the time, it's really going to increase your odds a lot if you cooperate and you give them straightforward answers and you give them the driver's license when they ask for it and stuff like that. You make their day easy.
I put my hands on the wheel and I try to get all my stuff out of my pocket in my hands before they come to the door. And fuck.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing?
Good. Hey, midnight.
Sparkle. So hey, Speed, can I talk to you after the stream, like on the phone?
Ooh, is it serious?
Kind of.
Okay. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we're gonna shoot her in the head here.
Sparkle.
We're gonna shoot her in the head.
Wow, fun?
Huh? Well, Randolph, what did you say?
Oh, he's saying he wants to shoot it in the head. That sounds like a pun.
No, I mean before that.
No, that's what he always says.
That's what he always says.
This time it sounds like a pun. But yeah, the protest stuff here is a really big nuisance. I was on Saturday on the road coming back from a client site. I got stuck behind a convoy of about 18 cars and one truck. They call it a convoy for some reason, and it's only got one truck in it. And they look like they just came from a hockey game. Only one had an F sign on the back of their Jeep or something, and the rest of them just had Canadian flags hanging out, and it wasn't clear that it was a protest convoy or anything like that. But
yeah, they were driving.
They were driving 60 kilometers an hour on the highway where the speed limit is 90, so they're impeding traffic flow, and that's not a good thing.
They call it a convoy because of that movie and the song. Back in, I don't know when the hell it was, back in the 70s or whatever. It's like, yeah, they kind of got full of themselves, truckers.
CJ McCall is the singer of that.
Okay.
We lost Jason.
60 kilometer an hour speed was in the lap threat. Before that, they were slowing things right down to about 10 kilometers an hour or less and blocking all the lanes. And the cell phone network wasn't working at the time. It was all jammed. So I'm wondering if they're carrying around cell phone jammers so people can't call the police on them. But they had that slowed me down about 2 hours. It was ridiculous. I want my day. I am not happy with these guys doing this crap, because that's not a protest. That's interfering with the economy. And they threatened to interfere with the economy if they didn't get their way, and they're going to protest all this time with all that funding they got. It's a paid protest, make no mistake. They are paid to be there, and they are. They said specifically they're going to interfere with the economy, not in so many words, but that's what it meant. They're going to be there all this time, blocking roads and all this stuff until the law is changed. That's not how our democracy works. That's an attempt to circumvent our democracy. We have procedures in place for objecting to laws. I was part of one such process many years ago. We petitioned the government. I wasn't one of the organizers, but I joined it after the fact, and I put my signature on it, like a lot of thousands of Canadians did. It only took a few thousand people to do it, like 5,000 or 6,000 people, and what we were asking for was to remove blasphemous libel from the Criminal Code of Canada, which would have resulted in a person getting charged under that could have had prison time and hefty fines. So that got removed, but it went through the Parliament, it went through the Senate for 3 readings, and then it got royal assent, and then that got removed from our laws. So there's a procedure for this. Now, this one didn't require immediate response. For something like a mandate, if people have objections to that, the process would probably be sped up quite a lot and get considered and whatnot. But instead, they decide they're going to disrupt our economy and put us in further potential peril than we're already in a fragile situation during this pandemic. So, yeah, the Emergencies Act was well justified.
Do you know what would be cool? If they allow all the people that got arrested, allow them to take a plea deal that you just get the vaccine.
Well, the thing
you
is,
either go to jail for a year or get the vaccine.
Well, a bunch of them are already vaccinated. It's strange. Like some of them are saying they had to get vaccinated to not lose their jobs. And the thing is, I've tried to ask these anti-vaxxers and these protesters what their opinion is about the polio vaccine mandate. Because here in Canada, every baby born is required to get a number of vaccines, including one to prevent polio. Yep. And which is a good thing because it screws up nerve development and bone development if you catch this thing. So they don't have any answer for me on this. None of them say anything. They change the topic or they disappear. They don't want to talk about that. So, but they're against COVID-19 vaccines, but they are not against the polio vaccine. Why is that? And now Nova something, a company, just created a new vaccine that just got a approval here in Canada. And, we're one of the slowest countries to approve anything in medicine. So because we have very stringent standards and we're very slow to go through the testing and all this. So we're usually one of the last ones to adopt it. So once a pharmaceutical company of any sort gets anything approved in Canada, that's usually bragging rights for them. So because it's easier to get approved in the USA, which still has stringent requirements as well. But they seem to like advertise the fact that they're also approved in Canada, which I think is kind of cool. But this vaccine, this new one is Novavax or something. It's different. It's not using mRNA. So people who are against mRNA can opt for this other vaccine, and that's all supported by our Canadian medical system now. So they have options for different vaccines, so different forms of it.
Yep. So they don't allow angled brackets in YouTube. What the hell? What'd you do to me, Andrew?
Angled brackets where?
In YouTube, in the description. You can't put angled brackets in it.
Well, just use Bob Hope noses instead.
Yeah, okay. Well, what the hell? I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, we got a shooter in the head, guys. We got a shooter in the head.
I hope this was interesting to you, and I hope I answered all your questions.
Interesting to get that perspective. We've been watching it on the news, along with the Russians. The Russians and the Canadian truckers. That's been all the news.
And it's mostly not truckers here. It's mostly people in cars and stuff. And so the thing is, the protest, when you see big truck, it takes up a lot of space, so it's quite visible. But when you see people, and the counter protests, like there was one on Bank Street in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, and it looked like it went about 21 blocks long or 20 blocks long or something like that. And the streets were just full, and all those counter protesters, you can tell that they're counter protesters because they're all wearing masks.
Yeah.
And that was good to see. Those streets were just flooded.
Well,
that's a lot of people counter
I guess they got plans to do it here, so we got to brace ourselves. Get ready.
I suspect their strategy is to move one province or territory or state at a time. So that way they can always keep the news going about it. Because if they go to all these different places at once and get shut down all at once, then it looks like the whole thing's died. So they're purposely staging it so that they can keep it going. And because they've got some smart people involved in that group now who are good at strategizing this stuff. The woman Tamara Litch, who's kind of the spearhead one, the main spokesperson, she's got a history of trying to get Alberta and BC, the westmost provinces, to separate from Canada and join the US. So she doesn't care about the country's unity. Another guy, Patrick something, he has a history of racism and other kind of bigoted stuff. And he's talking about the prime minister and police getting bullets to the head and things like that. And it's just, and all these people, a bunch of them, at least 5 of them, there's some bad histories with them that are kind of running this whole protest group. So this is not, there's not a good foundation there from what I can see.
Okay, so Trustee Ape Podcast, I linked his YouTube site in the description also. He just stopped in today, and he looks like he has some interesting interviews on there. But we got to give it up for the day, guys. Okay?
Okay. Have a good one. Thank you.
Okay, so I got to find the right buttons to push.
Nice chat today, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye, cruel world. I'm out.
Bye.